Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. I'm very excited for this episode, actually. It is a topic I keep seeing pop up in the media and in business journals and articles, and it is the Metaverse. And a lot of you are thinking, well, what the hell is the Metaverse? Well, that's what I was thinking too. So I'm bringing on a friend of mine who's pretty well versed not only in cryptocurrencies, he's been very accurate with his predictions, which has been amazing, but also his interest and getting involved in the metaverse. And I'm not really going to talk about it in this intro because I don't really understand it or what it is. So that's what this episode is all about. We are diving into the metaverse, why everyone in Silicon Valley is getting involved in this, how this is going to change social media, why Facebook is so interested, and could this be the downfall of society, or it could actually improve society? Well, we're going to find out on this episode. I'd like to welcome to the podcast, Jerred Morris. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Madison?
I am good. I'm super excited to talk about this topic because you and I have kind of, talked offline. And you brought this up to me, and you're very well versed in it. It was one of those topics that I said, "What the fuck?" But then when you go and you research it, you start seeing all these articles, and all these Silicon Valley investors and Facebook are all getting involved in the metaverse, and they're saying this is like the next internet. So let's just start with, what the fuck is the metaverse?
Okay, so that's a very tough question to answer, I think, at this period of time, because it seems like everyone is defining it a little bit differently, like how it relates to them or how they see it. I think in the very early stages, it was all about games. But now it's much, much broader than that. So when I say games, it's just when a whole bunch of people log on to the internet and they will play some type of game, with individuals around the world, right? So you kind of have this connection. You're connecting with individuals around the world via the internet with an experience, and the experience is the game. Well, now that has grown so much, and there's economies inside of those games. I don't think a lot of, especially like people my age, you don't understand unless you're a gamer, and I am not a gamer. But you don't understand, like they're making money, tremendous amounts of money playing games in different ways. There's commerce going on inside of the game. And then I think from that, they started creating more and more of these things. It's called a metaverse. Best way to look at it is, and I'll give you like two examples. I put it in like two buckets.
Okay.
Basically, they're going to digitize everything. So everything that you do in your life that's physical will become digital. And I know that sounds crazy because you could really go down some rabbit holes. You could say, okay, well, I'm going to get dressed. You're going to digitize that. I'm going to go drive a car. You're going to digitize. Yes, they are. They're going to make all of that digital, and it will reside in a world, and the worlds are limitless, meaning there's no, no one's pumping the brake on how many worlds there can be. So whoever wants to create one, whatever industry or individual or company wants to create one, and it will have its own rules that participants can agree to, or if they don't like that metaverse, you can just go to a different metaverse. So you're in the very, very early stages, so you have tremendous amounts of growth, and it's going to go in a lot of different ways, right? And then I think over time, what you'll have is those metaverses will start to come together, and then you'll probably have less metaverses because you can only participate in so many. So go ahead.
We had one of our previous episodes, a month or so ago, was with a friend of mine who really was kind of one of the innovators behind NFTs, and he had said something on that episode, and maybe some of you have listened to it. If not, go back and listen to it. That he goes, this will sound crazy to you, but to younger generations, it doesn't sound crazy that
Absolutely.
you can swing your digital Gucci boot over your digital Ferrari.
Yes,
and that's
100%.
your world. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yes.
But it's what's happening. So you have to kind of adapt to it.
Correct. So I think people have a hard time understanding it because you think in a physical world. and now we're moving to a digital world. And that transition is going to be problematic in the short term, but it will be phenomenal in the long term. But that's pretty much how all tech works, right? When you really, if you go back and look at it, it disrupts in the beginning, it's frustrating, nobody really gets it,
Right.
and then everyone accepts it, and then it becomes the norm. So the two buckets, this is how I break it down. I'm not a techie, but I find technology very interesting, and I love interesting ideas, so I kind of keep my mind open to things, but I'm not like a deep technical person. So I look at it in two buckets. You have the individual and you have the business. So the individual, like yourself, you live a limited life. You're limited by gravity. You're limited by your financial status. You're limited by all these rules that are put on you by the city, the state, and the federal government. If you go to a metaverse via the internet, you live in a limitless life. Because think about it, it's a world that someone created. What rules are those? It's whatever rules you want them to be. Who governs? Who decides what is right and what is wrong? All of that is created based on the participants in the metaverse. So for example, let's say you have a life and it's very hard, right? Let's say, you have a family that's not very supportive, whatever, and you want to escape. Well, you just go online. And you can become, what can you become? You can become anything that you want to be in the metaverse.
So it's almost like we're turning ourselves into little avatars within a game.
Inside, let's remove game, but unless you look at life as a game like I do. I think life is just a gigantic game, and it just depends on how you play it. But I would say you're creating an alternative person, right? That you believe you are, whatever your dreams or aspirations are, you can create that online, and you can live that life.
And can you make money in the metaverse to transfer into the physical verse?
Yeah, so this is where it gets, like, really, you can go way down this rabbit hole. I mean, you can talk hours about just this one little subject. But a metaverse is literally a nation. It's a country, it's a sovereign, if you think about it. It will govern itself through a governance token, right? Whoever has the most tokens can make rules, and inside those rules, the society comes together and agrees or disagrees. You can create, just think about it, you can create commerce wherever you want it, and you can change the metaverse whenever you need it. Like it's at this point, it's very limitless. And I think that's where you're going to get all this adoption, because who doesn't want a limitless life? Like when you think that's fun, that's interesting to people. Right? Like think about all the things that you could do that you can't do currently in your life, or that you can't afford in your life now, but yet you can interact with people. You can make friends, you can create teams, you can create villages, societies, cities. You can buy land and digital land. You can build on the land. You can then sell things to people. And then inside of that world, right, that metaverse, you earn income through the governance token, the cryptocurrency. So then it gets into, well, if you're earning income via a cryptocurrency, you never really accepted it in the real world, did you? So you could be like a multi-billionaire inside of a metaverse and never pay a dime in tax in the real world.
Like I'm speechless right now because my mind is absolutely blown. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you could go, I mean, this rabbit hole is so deep and so, I keep using the word limitless, but if you just think about it, you can really go down some deep rabbit holes about, well, wow, how does all this end, or how does this all come together? Or like, man, I mean, if it really isn't limitless, then that's what starts this creativity, I think, with all these individuals. And then those individuals come together, and then that creativity drives innovation and adoption. And then you just have this phenomenal, like, positive feedback loop. If you think it through, right? Like if you just had an amazing world where everyone got along.
Yeah.
Like think about it. How fun is that? You can hang out with all your friends, do everything you guys want to do. You can interact with each other live. It's getting there, right? Like you're going to be able to see somebody on the other side of the world and hang out with them in the metaverse, like you would go and get a cup of coffee.
Do you think this is going to contribute to the absolute downfall of our society?
No.
Nobody's going to leave their house. They're going to be glued to a computer screen.
Well, what do we do now?
Well, obviously it's beginning that way, and it's had terrible effects on people. People are less social. They don't know how to interact with other people.
Okay. But wouldn't that create more interaction?
Place.
Wouldn't that create more interaction?
If you never had to leave your house and you could interact with anybody at any time?
Well, let's say that, so you have to, well, this gets into like behaviors, right? But why do you not leave your house? I mean, if it's a personal choice, okay, well, what happens if you just find that you make more friends online? Or like, for example, you live in an area where the ideas and the thoughts and everything that goes on doesn't resonate with you. Like, let's say a rural town, okay? And you're a socialite. Like, what are you going to do in a rural town? But you can't leave, right? You got to go to school. You got your parents. You're not just free to go, are you? But you're free to get on the metaverse, and you can live a life that you so choose. What is so bad about that? And then the people that you interact with in the metaverse or around the world, what is so bad about making friends around the world? Like, some of my best friends don't live in the US, and I met all of them by traveling.
Right.
Why do I just need friends where I live?
I agree with that.
Well, that's just, but that, like, back, if you grew up in the 80s and the 90s, you went outside and you played.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't do that anymore. Like, go buy a house in a neighborhood. How many kids are outside running around?
I mean, luckily where my brother lives, there's so many little girls on the street and they're all playing, thank God. So it feels like
that's
good
fantastic.
old
Yes, so you still have a little bit of that left. I think that is slowly going to go away. I don't think it disappears, but I just think that these interactions are going to become more and more digital.
So you think that people are going to spend more money on technology, meaning computer, big screens, things of that sort, because they're not going to be going out in real life. So all the money they would spend maybe at a bar, at a theater or show, they can use that to live in this digital world, because I don't want to live in a digital world on a 13-inch laptop screen.
Correct.
I don't live in a digital world. Sure. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean,
I think the hardware will become cheaper, right? The hardware will continuously become cheaper without a doubt. And the access to this will become easier and easier and easier. And the reason is, it's because of the amount of commerce and new business that they're going to be able to drive. Like, think about it. If you owned a metaverse, or you were the creator of a metaverse and you wanted mass adoption, A, you would make it limitless in the beginning because you want mass adoption. And then B, you would find everything that creates friction and you would remove it. It's like, for example, like Oculus. Well, who owns Oculus? Oculus is the
Facebook,
3D,
right?
Yep, the 3D glasses that you put on the headset, right?
I did a comedy show, actually. I did a virtual reality comedy show. They were Oculus teamed up with Gotham Comedy Club, and they paid decently. You would go and you would do 10 minutes, and they had a makeup artist and all this. And then there was also an audience, but they would announce it was live, and you were in this digital world. And when you got the video back, it looked really funny, like almost like a glass. You were in a fishbowl.
Yes.
But because of the way they filmed it, but in the glasses, it looked like you were actually there. It was nuts.
Yes. Okay. So those glasses, right? The Oculus.
Yeah.
Those are kind of expensive. Okay. So so here's a rabbit hole. Break down Facebook. Who uses Facebook right now besides old people?
Me once in a while. I promote this podcast on Facebook. Well, I promote it everywhere, but.
Okay, so every now and again, right? But you're not using it as much. The activity is slowing, not increasing.
No, because the reason I'm not using it is because I find it to be very negative. And I'm trying to live a positive, abundant life. And when I go on Facebook, I feel just blah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I don't go on. It's very negative. People's opinions. I'm like, I don't fucking care about people's opinions. We all have different opinions. We have to respect and love each other. And Facebook does not encourage that.
Okay. So let's say Facebook starts encouraging all of that community comes together. Okay.
Yep.
They turn off Facebook and they turn on Facebook Metaverse. You can no longer use normal Facebook. It's not allowed. They just flip the switch and turn it off. What choice do you have? You have no choice. So then that's mass adoption. So everyone goes on to their metaverse, and you're going to say, well, wait a second. Well, how are you going to get the Oculus? Well, we'll just give it to you. because of mass adoption. And I'll prove it to you. Back when in the early 2000s, you could buy AdWord clicks for a nickel.
Okay.
Any keyword on AdWords for nickels. You could buy YouTube ads for pennies. You could buy Facebook ads for pennies. Pennies.
Right.
Okay. Now, what do they charge? 20, 30, 50,
lot.
100, $500 a click. Okay. So that's how they do it. In the beginning, they give it away to get the mass adoption, to get the network effect. And then they take the limitless and they turn it into limited because you're already hooked. Then what they do is they start extracting revenue from you. Just think about it. Like how you operate in those platforms and how they get revenue from you. They generate revenue from you using it. And that's what they're going to do with the metaverse. It's going to be the same setup. So as you create, and now think about all the commerce that you can create in the metaverse. You can create anything, right? You can create any business that you want inside these things. Okay, so now your businesses are now operating in that metaverse, and Facebook owns that metaverse. And then they're going to charge you fees in cryptocurrency. Do you see? And you got to remember,
I know.
is fractionalized, which people don't understand this. I think they're completely missing this. You mentioned NFTs, right?
Yeah.
So everyone's like, oh, these NFTs are worthless. I was like,
no.
I was like, for example, memes. Here's another like rabbit hole that everyone can go down to meme. They're like, well, who would ever pay for a meme? Well, no one right now. I said, but if you had a digital wallet tied to your browser, okay, and if you wanted to use a meme and it charged you 0.0000001 ETH to use it, and let's say it worked out to a nickel, and it was seamless, it just deducted it from your wallet. You would use the meme because you would say, well, it doesn't cost anything. It costs like nothing. What do you care? Okay, well, here's the problem with that. How many people are there in the world?
Billion.
And then how many pennies could that meme generate every day when it is used? And then all of that programmatically goes back to the creator's digital wallet instantaneously. This is no different than Visa, MasterCard. Visa, MasterCard takes no financial risk. They charge a fee to ride the rail. The fee is 0.0013 on every transaction. And they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. And that's all they do. You're going to take the same strategy, that same idea, and you're going to start tying it into all of these things because of the rails that are going to be created, and everything is code driven and it's programmatic. So programmatic is just a word for automation. That's all it is. You can automate everything. And if you want to go down a deeper rabbit hole, you can start talking about taxes. How are you going to tax all this stuff? You can't, right? So tax, I think, goes away. Income tax completely goes away. And they will tax consumption.
But if you take your money out of your digital world and put it into your physical world so you can physically feed your physical body,
correct,
you'll be taxed on that.
Okay, but how do they do that?
That's the question. That's why the IRS is freaking out. They're trying to get their greedy little paws on everything they can.
Because they're dumb. There's nobody smart there.
No, very dumb.
There's no deep IT. Yeah, there's no deep IT.
No offense if you work at the IRS. Don't come after me.
Yeah, there's no deep IT people working on this project there. It's very topical. I think that what eventually will happen, I don't know when it does, could be 10 or 20 years, I have no idea. But I think what they'll do is they can't keep you from converting the cryptocurrency. And then and then once you get it and you go use the money, what are you going to do? A year later, tell them that you owe? You're behind the curve on it. The easier thing to do is just tax consumption. And that's how you get to a flat tax. Because think about it, go make all the crypto you want, convert it all you want to, we don't care. But the minute you spend it, programmatically, we take the tax on the transaction and it goes to the IRS digital wallet instantaneously. That is seamless.
Right, and that's probably what they'll need to adopt to. But the IRS probably operates like they're in the 80s though still.
But how do you cheat? How are you going to cheat that code?
Well, you're not, because it would all be tracked.
Correct. That is way easier than what they're trying to do now.
Right, because they're putting all this money into the IRS, and it's like, gosh, they're so greedy, so greedy.
Yep.
So, don't even get me started on the topic of taxation. Okay, so I read an article. I didn't read it too deeply. I kind of looked at the headline and scanned it because I really can't stand Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg is really, really getting involved in metaverses.
Yes, he hired, I don't know the gentleman's name, but Gary Vee got interviewed. Gary Vee knows him, and he is a wizard with the metaverse, and it is coming without a doubt. I don't know the gentleman's name, but he's the head of the metaverse for Facebook, and it is absolutely coming, and it is absolutely going to be amazing. Whether you like Zuckerberg or not, I totally understand
Right.
people's opinions of him, but what they're going to develop and deliver, from what I've heard, and some people I think have seen like what they've done, basically because they're friends with the guy. Everyone says that it is absolutely mind-boggling, incredible, and the amount of commerce and the new businesses and the new opportunities for everyone to participate in at an individual level, right? Instead of the institution, it's the individual. They're just raving about it. And I believe it. And here's the thing. Let's say it fails. Let's say it's crap. Let's say it's totally rigged. Great, go to a different one. What do you care? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have the freedom to choose.
So do you think Facebook will flip off and you'll have to go into this metaverse in order to interact with your Facebook friends?
Of course. Why wouldn't they?
So Facebook will go away. What we know as Facebook today,
yes,
will go away, and there will be this metaverse Facebook where it's almost like you're in, instead of just having a friends list and looking at their post of their kids or their food or whatnot, you'll actually be able to kind of interact with them and like go dancing but here's a question. Here's
the thing, start businesses.
Can you bang in the metaverse?
Yes. There will be one, without a shadow of a doubt.
So I can be a prostitute in my metaverse.
100%.
Make a killing.
The first things that will happen is going to be pure debauchery. It's just, that's how it all gets done. The craziest.
You can get away with anything in a metaverse because it's not real.
Correct. And then what will happen is people will have bad experiences with it. And then what you'll see is everybody will run in, they'll experience everything. And then from those experiences, you will choose the ones that you like and the ones that you don't like. And then you will naturally gravitate, see what I'm saying? It's just a herd. And then the herd will naturally gravitate to the metaverses that make the most sense to them. And as you get more and more adoption, and you want to hang out with more and more of your acquaintances, friends, colleagues, or whatever, it's going to gravitate towards the metaverse that has the most adoption. It's the easiest to use. So there will be rules, right? I mean, on some level, but nothing keeps you from going to one metaverse of, let's say, debauchery, and then the other metaverse of executive. Like, why can't you go to a metaverse where you just do business? Like a full-blown commercial commerce, executive style metaverse where businesses operate, collaboration happens, new ideas are created, new businesses are created. You can interact with everybody. You don't have to go into the office. You can see everybody in real time. You can have a whiteboard session.
So companies could create, because they're having this whole dilemma now where most people have been remote and they're starting to talk about them coming back. And then obviously the Delta variant, so people are delaying it. But it's been so long that people have been out of the office that people don't want to go back. People are quitting their jobs and finding new jobs that are remote because they realize it's just a more efficient, they're more effective, and they're just happier.
The office sucks. It just does. Who wants to drive an hour?
No, I don't.
Who wants to deal with all that? No, we're like, everyone is done and over it. The only people holding on are the 60-year-old and up white males that want to maintain control at any and rule you with an iron fist. That's who wants this nonsense. Let's all go back to the office nonsense. That's them, because they don't understand a metaverse, nor will they ever adopt it. They will refuse. So they'll stand there and say, this is ridiculous, and they'll tell you how dumb it is and how it'll never happen. And each year that goes by, more and more businesses will start to prop up online. More people will go there, and they'll make money as individuals. Go look at the NFT. I think I saw two yesterday. Some lady graduated art school, right? She had a couple $100,000 in student loan debt, put it all together. She minted 5 NFTs, and she paid off her entire debt in a day.
So how to explain that real quickly with the NFTs? Like, how do you create them and how do you sell them?
I do not know. I've not gone that far down the road. I don't know how you mint them. They call it, you mint an NFT. I know there's a cost to do that. You have to pay an ETH. And then you go to an open marketplace. Like the big one right now, there's plenty of them, but the one that gets talked about the most right now is called OpenSea, and it's SEA, like water.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that pop up on Insta. Yep.
Yeah, and their transaction volume is insane. They're transacting like billions of dollars a month right now in NFTs.
And so when people buy these, they own them digitally, and they're the only ones that can have them. Nobody can copy them and put them on their Facebook page or their Instagram page.
Correct. But the biggest, I think,
flip them and sell them.
Some people are flipping. Obviously, that's going on. And there's lots of other things going on with NFTs. There's probably money laundering going on, if you think about it. There's probably people with their digital wallets, because anyone can have a digital wallet and you can have lots of them. So what keeps you from artificially bidding up NFTs, waiting for somebody that doesn't know what they're doing to buy it and you take advantage of them? So there's lots of like not so good things going on, but that will weed itself out. I think the biggest takeaway with the NFT is you can identify the individual. Right on Twitter, do you really know who you're talking to?
No, they're probably all trolls in their mother's basement.
Right, so the NFT. So just mandate Twitter NFTs, tie it to a known, and now you get rid of all trolls.
Which would be great, right? I know if there was no trolls, if you actually were accountable for the shit, these trolls, I mean, if they were actually held accountable for the stuff they say, because they're vile.
Right.
They wouldn't say that, because nobody in their right mind would.
Correct.
I mean, maybe they would. We live in a very dark world right
No,
now.
what happens is you can say anything right now, because I think Mike Tyson said it best. You can say whatever you want because you won't be punched in the face. The problem is, see what I'm saying? Like, you hide behind a keyboard. You can just spout out whatever you want. There's no repercussions for your actions.
Yeah, they're
in
like
the metaverse, it's different. You have interactions, right? People see you. You have verification of who you are.
So will I look like this in the metaverse?
Well, I could look like you and you could look like me. I think I would prefer to look like you than you prefer to look like me. But yes.
Wait, and so we're not like an avatar? Like, we're not like cartoon characters? We're actually like look like this?
I think in the beginning, it will be cartoon-ish, right? And then the tech and everything will continue to build and build and build. And I think it will
be a sexy cartoon. I think I'd be a hot cartoon.
You would be, without a doubt.
Can I make my tits larger in the metaverse?
Of course, blow them up. So you can do all sorts of. Yeah, we know where you're going first.
I was like, everyone's doing the lip injections, and I'm like, I'm tempted, but I won't do it because I'm scared that I'll look like a duck.
Don't do it.
But in the metaverse, I'm gonna have big old DSLs.
Yes.
That stands for dick sucking lips. Sorry for my prude listeners. We still got to keep the comedy on here. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. No, we'll know where to find you, obviously. Like,
yeah, right. I'll be at the injection slot. You know what? I'm gonna be a plastic surgeon in the metaverse. I'm gonna give people big old titties and booties and lippies, and it's gonna be great.
You could sell that all day. Just think about it.
Our
it's crazy. Like, we laugh. You see what I'm saying? Like, we're all joking and laughing, but that's how wild it is right now. Like, think about it. If you went to the metaverse, set up created a building, and he said, "Hey, come in here, and for whatever 0.1 ETH, I'll give you boobs, a butt, and big lips," right? And then they come in, they pay you, and you add these layers to their avatar, and then they leave. It sounds nuts, right? That is just watch the skins, like how you look, what you wear, what you own, what you drive, all these things that you're going to do. It's going to, in the beginning, it'll be very, very cheap to do it. And then what they will do is, because again, limitless to get you in. You live a limited life. To get you out of your limited life, they'll give you a limitless life. And then they'll get mass adoption. And then once the mass adoption hits, everyone is in the pool. And once everyone is in the pool, they will start lifting the cost of everything. Okay? Because now your metaverse life will become more limited because they need to extract money from you. That's how it's going to work. So in the beginning, the early adopters, the people that think of the craziest things, that are just going to make you laugh, right? I mean, you're just going to shake your head at it. Those people are going to be printing crypto money day in and day. Like, for example, an NFT, the stoned apes. You're telling me that that's
My friend was
amazing art?
involved in that, the CryptoPunks.
Or CryptoPunks, you're telling me that that's amazing art? If someone were to come to you right now and describe
No,
it
but it's
to you,
worth a ton.
okay, do you see how crazy it is? So
It is fucking crazy, but I'm so jealous of him and so proud at the same time.
yeah. And there will be lots of losers. Just to let you know, there'll be lots of losers. There'll be lots of businesses that don't work out. There'll be lots of businesses that work, you know, in the short term, but that are not a long-term play. But that happened with the internet. So
Is
what's
there a
wrong?
metaverse you can join now?
Decentraland is the big one, but they keep coming up with new ones. Like they just have a new one built on Solana, and it's very interesting. It's very like Star Trek type, Star Wars type idea, but basically it's a metaverse, and there's these planets and worlds, and you can create societies. They have a governance token. There's different ways for you to earn the token, and then you can earn. Here's the interesting: is in the beginning, again, it will be limitless. I can't stop saying it, but just by participating, they're going to pay you. The only thing you have to do is go in there and hang out for a couple hours, and they're going to give you governance tokens. Then you're going to go build things.
How does one get involved today?
One is, I think you kind of have to you have to start to wrap your head around it a little bit. And I think just participate in what most people will think kind of like a goofy way. Like Decentraland is free. You can just log in, create your avatar.
So is it Decentraland, like DECENTRALAND?
Yep.
.com?
Yep.
And it's free to join?
Yeah. And it's desktop based. You don't have to have anything crazy. And just the best thing for you to do is just go sign up for one of them and play around in it, and then sign up for another, and then do more and more research. And then if it's something that you like to do, then you'll start to figure it out. But at the end of the day, it's going to disrupt a ton of businesses. Whether you like it or not, it's
Like
going
what?
to disrupt society.
Well, I think it's a downfall of society, but I could be wrong.
Okay. I mean,
because when you have to go out and get physical food, we're going to unlearn how to interact with people, and
you're still interacting with people.
trying to be around people and touch people and hug people, and
that will still happen. The metaverse is not going to
feel that embrace.
You will feel an embrace with the right people. When you have the right people in your life, you'll be around those. I mean, you're still going to have family, Madison. You're not. It's not going to be a whole bunch of individuals in closets everywhere, hooked up to cords. I mean, we're not full Matrix yet. Okay, like we're not quite, in the cocoon, where they take them out. Like we're not there yet, but we're definitely getting to. They're going to digitize everything you do in life.
I think Jesus is going to come back in like 10 years. He's going to be like, enough.
I think someone will just create Jesus in the metaverse.
My God, so I could open up like a comedy club. I could open a movie studio.
A church. You could open a church.
I could open a church.
You can be a real estate agent.
I want to know how I make money, because that's what it's about.
Starting out right now, what I understand is two things. One is if you participate, you get paid. All right. So
now, if I go to Decentraland and create an account, I'm going to start making money.
You can start making money by participating in the metaverses, and they'll give you governance tokens. And then there's certain things that you can do, and there's activities that you can do, and they will reward you for them. And then
in Decentraland.
Yes. And then the new ones as well. I forgot the name of the one that's being built on Solana. I don't think it's live just yet.
And where did the governance tokens go?
Into your digital wallet.
The digital wallet that's stored on Decentraland, or a digital wallet that I create myself?
Well, Decentraland has its own, the governance token in Decentraland, if I'm not mistaken, is mana. So you take the mana, you earn the mana.
My God, I heard about this.
Yep.
Mana project, the mana protocol.
Yes. And then from mana, you can, if you want to sell it on an exchange, then you can convert it to stable coin, then the stable coin to the fiat.
So the governance token is the mana token
of Decentraland. Each metaverse can have its own governance token, and they can have more than one. And there's different ways.
Somebody told me, start following this project, and I think I started following them on Twitter. And then we can't do ICOs in the US, which are initial coin offerings. But my friend had told this other person, I think over in Europe, buy this mana token before the ICO, and he did. My friend was kind of pissed because he's like, he didn't even like give me a kickback for it. I gave him this great tip and he made a fortune. You have to hold it for 60 days or something like that.
Yeah, so mana, or like in Decentraland, you can gamble. You can go to, there's casinos.
And where can you sell the mana token? On any of the exchanges?
Gemini trades mana right now. And then if you need something, I mean, this is pretty simple. If you need to access any token overseas because they don't want to operate in the US, it's not hard. You just go to NordVPN. You tell NordVPN where you want your VPN to sit or reside, like Ireland. You log into your VPN in Ireland, and then you have full access to any exchange outside of the US. You're done. And then you're like, well, how do you fund it? Oh, well, that's really simple. You just use digital wallets, and no one can keep you from sending a cryptocurrency from one digital wallet to the next digital wallet. You cannot block that. That's just data on the internet, right? So for you to gain access to these things, it's not difficult. And then you also have to remember you're making money outside of the tax jurisdiction, and they have no visibility into any of those exchanges or what you're doing on those exchanges. So it's really, again, they're running into lots of issues because how do they track all that? They can't. I mean, they're never going to admit that, but they're just going to say, hey, we're going to look at these things and whatever. But basically, you can do a lot of things outside of the tax jurisdiction, but that's your risk, right? If you choose not to pay your tax, it's coming. Eventually, they're not going to be real happy with you. But if you need access to the exchanges, it's just a VPN provider outside of the US. Pick a country, you log in, you have full access to any exchange that you want, and it's frictionless.
Okay, on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be right back. My mind is blown. This is like the most silent I've ever been on a podcast. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. I'm sure a lot of you guys are too, going, what the fuck is happening? But apparently I'm going to be signing up for Decentraland. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. But being honest, forget about the money, forget about the excitement right now. Just really get in tune with yourself and think, is this good for society in your opinion?
It's not up to me. It's up to society to vote.
True.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not really big on, very big on choice. So I think if society votes as society that this is not good, then fine, it's not good. Like we'll move on. But at the end of the day, it's innovation and it's technology. And for you to shut this down or stop this from happening, I think it's kind of, you're grasping at straws at that point. It's in motion. It's going to happen on some level. It will be turbulent in the beginning, like all technology is, and then it will find its rhythm, and it will, these worlds will create themselves, and the participation will be adopted, right? People will continue to come in, and they'll adopt the new tech. And remember, I mean, if you go back, the rate at which we're innovating is insane, the rate of change. But if you go back in the 90s and you go back and look at the internet, it's the same nonsense stories that everybody told. The internet is worthless. What are you going to do on it? What are you going to do on it? Go on chat boards and send emails? Those are stupid. No one's ever going to use that. You're never going to be able to do contracts. You're never going to be able to exchange money. You're never going to be able to have commerce. Like, what person would put their credit card in online? Like, that's just stupid. And you can go and read all these newspaper headlines from all basically old people that told you that this technology is dumb and it's not going anywhere. And all of those people are dead, retired, or broke. And all of the businesses that didn't adopt it have gone to zero, and they're just getting eaten alive by the tech. And then now what do? We spend most of our lives online. You carry a computer around with you everywhere you go.
I know.
Right? Do you see what I'm saying? Like you're always online, you're always connected. What is the difference? You see what I'm saying? The only difference is the visual experience. That's the only thing that's really like the major difference is just the visual experience. Okay, well, if you have a crappy environment that you're in, and you're telling me that you can go and be in these amazing worlds, right? Which is, crazy. Like think of like the movie Avatar. Okay, your life sucks, and you can go plug into the avatar and hang out for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Why do you want to hang out in your normal life? What value is there? What value is
Well,
perceived? I think, see what I'm saying? I mean, people will definitely get lost in it,
but
but you can
here's
also see the
how,
other side, right? I mean, if your life kind of sucks,
yeah.
you want an escape, that's the escape.
So here's the thing. I think what you just said could actually be the benefit of it, right? There's more innovation. So the whole law of attraction is based on the theory of you have to see it in your mind before you can see it in real life, right? Your life today is a reflection of your thoughts and your choices, right? So
Right.
if you're in this avatar and you're this amazing, you're doing everything you want to do, you're living this amazing life, that could, because it's still your brain, right? That could end up translating into the physical world. So actually people might start having better lives in the physical world. Just a thought.
Okay,
Because you
so
think about it, like vision boards, right? But if I
yes,
could go into that world and live in everything that's on my vision board, the big house, the vacations, the time with the family, the private, the good clothes, things of that sort.
right.
If I'm experiencing that and I'm living that, my mind is saying that it's real. So it could end up manifesting in the physical world. That's just my thought. And I might be onto something.
And what about the commerce? What about all of these people that can't find jobs?
Well, now they can go do whatever the fuck they want to do. Sorry, I'm using it. When I get really excited about something, I tend to curse. It's kind of
F-bomb? It's all right.
it's my Tourette.
Fair enough. So people generate these cryptocurrencies just by participating. And then now they put those in a wallet and that cryptocurrency goes up 100x. That person that lives in a
People
rural
have
town,
no excuse anymore not to make money.
that's
Like,
right. So that person in a rural town is now the richest person in the town. So I don't understand what's so bad about, you see what I'm saying? Like for every knock, if you
yeah.
just break it down, it's really what it comes down to is personal choice. If you want to be a degenerate that just lives in someone's basement and never leaves and just do weird things online, well, guess what? You can do that now. The metaverse is nothing new, right? So it's just personal choice. But if you want to take the opportunity and make something of it, it's a frictionless, limitless opportunity right now. And they don't care who you are. They don't care where you live. They don't care your economic status. The metaverse doesn't judge. It lets everybody in, right? If you just think it through, like just like the internet never judged anybody. If you wanted to participate, you could participate by choice. And if you figured out how to make money online, you made boatloads of money. Late 90s, early 2000s, all the way up to about 2015, it was a free for all to make money online.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, it's amazing. So Decentraland is one. What's the other one that people can get involved in today?
There's a new one that I see. It's being built on Solana. You can go to notboring.co. It's a guy, he puts out a newsletter.
Okay.
And it broke down the whole Solana ecosystem. And I found it really interesting. And then they have another one, I think, called like newearth.io. I'm not a big fan of it. It just seems like the people that are involved in it are not as savvy. And you got to remember, like some of these, they're asking you to put up money to buy their tokens to get involved because they want you to basically fund it. But there's a lot of risk with that. You really need to know who the backers are behind it and what like VC firms are involved. That kind of keeps you out of the investing money in things that probably are zeros. You know what I mean? Like it's a cash grab, like the ICOs were years ago.
Yeah.
I would say, just stick with the major ones. And again, you just need to get used to it and just get your mind wrapped around it. And then from there, come up with creative ideas. And then from there, move on. Like the lady that was in art school, right? She had no idea what an NFT was. She had no idea how to mint one. But boom, she did it, right? She tried.
Yeah, I love that story.
Yeah, she made a video. It's how I saw it. She put it out on Twitter and it was retweeted. It came across my feed. And it was like, look, right here, it's changing people's lives. Whether you want to accept it or not, here's real world events or commerce that's happening. And these people that, we're told that, you're a nobody, you chose the wrong profession, you're screwed. The creators and the developers are the ones making all the money, and the people that have the PhD and the MBA, the accreditation from the schools, right? Hey, this is my last name, therefore I'm owed something. Those are all going to zero, because you don't need an accreditation to mint an NFT. And that NFT is paying more than any accreditation ever will.
I totally agree, which I kind of like that, right? Because we're creating more of as the metaverse is like more of a limitless world where more people can, before it's like back in the day, in order to make money, you had to be a certain profession. And now you have no excuse not to make money. You just have to have an open mind and take those risks.
But those rules
you can do.
Right, but those rules were imposed on individuals. Like the rules were imposed to grift. The rules were imposed to keep people down. The rules were imposed to risk the system so that few made money, and then they sold you dreams about how you're going to climb your little corporate ladder and all your little nonsense, or you go to your, these big schools, these institutions, and you get your accreditations. Well, that's gone. And now anybody with, work ethic can come in here and they can make more money than the accredited people coming out of school. And you'll see everyone hates it. The most accredited people, if you look at them, big, highly intelligent people that are very, analytical or focused on finance, and you'll see they refuse to believe this stuff. They hate it. And this is why, because the kid down the street is beating the guy with 30 years in the game. And the guy with 30 years or the lady with 30 years in the game, they can't stand it. That this young person with creativity that should be a nobody is now parking his Bentley in front of your house, and they're just, I love it. Ego thing, like they're just miserable about it. So you'll see they'll just keep crapping on it. Oh, it's stupid. Who would buy that? I don't know. Someone just bought it and they paid 500 ETH for it. What does what does it matter? Well, that person's dumb. I'm like, well, could have been that dumb. They had 500 ETH and you don't. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now, can you pass a Scantron test or an SAT? Probably better than them. Well, sure, but that doesn't equate to wealth or profitable businesses or creativity. That's just your ability to take an exam.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. And I like this though, because yes, our system was rigged. Our system was designed to keep people down so the big people could sit at the top and take all the money. It was not, and I love the fact that the whole crypto world, the whole internet revolution, the next internet is what they're calling these metaverses, is changing the game and is allowing people to live the life they were intended to live and that they deserve to live, as long as they work, are creative and open-minded and do these things. And I like the fact that it's flipping the old system on its fucking head. I love it.
Like the middleman is going away. The grifter is going away. It's getting harder and harder to grift. It's getting more difficult to be a middleman. Just you're taking money from people for no reason. Like you're adding no value to the equation, but you just stand in the middle of it. Like I don't have deep knowledge into it, but if you look at, actors, actresses, if you look at the music industry, there's all of these people that take their cuts, right?
Yes.
All of that is being absolutely sent to zero, and the transactions are between the creator and the user. So like, for example, we spoke about this, like Decentraland. Why can't you as a band go into Decentraland and throw a concert? How many tickets can you sell? Limitless, because you don't have to worry about gravity. You don't have to worry about physics, about people standing next to each other. So you can sell limitless tickets.
How does that work?
Sell a ticket and you charge them 5 mana. And the 5 mana goes directly to the band, and that band throws a concert. And this is going on currently. This is already happening. Number one, there's no middleman whatsoever.
Does the band reserve a stage?
Yes.
And play, and then it broadcast into this digital world on Decentraland?
Yes. And you can go to the stadium and you can watch them play. They're doing it right now in Fortnite. They do it right now in Decentraland. Okay,
so there's a physical concert, but then they also stream it, so the rest
just a digital concert.
Nobody's there.
Well, you are there digitally, but no one is there physically.
And that, because I'm thinking, doing comedy too. I mean, when COVID happened, like a lot of Zoom comedy shows happened, and people hated it. Some people loved it, some people hated it. But it would be kind of interesting. You wouldn't have that pressure of the awkward audience member. But then that's kind of what feeds the energy too, which is why I didn't like the Zoom shows. But I think we all just need to adopt, and there's going to be things along the way that are changing. And you and I have had these conversations where things are just very rocky right now, but you either kind of accept it and adopt to it. Obviously, don't accept bad stuff, but like you just adapt to the change,
Right.
and you benefit, or you try to fight it and you get left behind.
Correct.
Because
Every
you're
time,
operating a brick and mortar and not a digital store.
every time I fought it, I've lost miserably.
Yeah.
Every time I've just said screw it and accepted it and just went with it, knowing nothing, right? Like literally just throwing wet napkins at the wall, hoping something would stick type thing, like literally clueless. I've come out egregiously ahead. I mean, disgustingly, egregiously, monetarily ahead. So you can stand there and you can yell and scream and you can say, ha, I'm right and you're wrong, right? You're in the business of being right and wrong. Or you can be in the business of making money, generating businesses, meeting new people, and having interactions. It's your choice. It's very, very simple. And that's what it will come down to. And the people that want the experiences and are open-minded, those are the ones that will be early adopters. And those are the ones that have the highest opportunity to create the most amount of abundance in life inside of this new web. Web 3 is what they're calling it. But inside this new web, it's limitless, right? So the early adopters always will be the ones that probably get the most out of it. Like, for example, like in the 90s, you could have bought coffee.com for $50.
I know, right?
Coffee.com, I think in 2009 or something, sold for like 9 million. Just the URL.
I remember those it was like the housewives are buying up URLs like in the late night or mid to late 90s, probably mid 90s. But it was like they were buying like bananas.com, groceries.com, food.com. Remember that whole thing?
Yes.
And then they were
crazy, right?
selling them. And everyone was like, that is so ridiculous. I can't believe blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But this is what's happening now. So pay attention and start buying stuff in the metaverse.
You should just participate.
The metaverse right now. I'm excited, but I'm like, my fucking mind is blown, literally blown.
And it's very early. So just participate. And then
Yeah.
what you'll see, if you're participating and you stay in it on some level, you don't have to be in it every day, but obviously, eventually you will see opportunities. You just will. And those opportunities will show up. And if you're in there and you're participating and slowly, you're like trying your best to keep up with it, it moves very, very quickly. But if you keep up with it on some level, then you're opening yourself up to an asymmetric opportunity, which is very similar to like an Ethereum or a Bitcoin or any type of cryptocurrency as of late, right? People are buying them for $1 and they're going to 500. That is life-changing money. It's the same thing inside the metaverse. It's the same type setup. It's an asymmetric type payout because you have these gigantic networks, meaning people that want to participate. And if those people want to participate, they will eventually pay for something, right? For some type of experience to occur. Only thing you have to do is just come up with experiences. Lots of them will fail, and that's okay. But you'll hit one. And once that one hits, you got to remember your experience is sold to the world, not to the town you live in. So as you can imagine, like whatever you have, if it hits, everyone's going to want to buy it. Do you see? The world will buy it, not just the town or the city or your community that you live in. So again, you have these huge network effects that anyone can take advantage of. It doesn't care, and again, they don't care what your economic status is or what your degree is. There's no limit to you or anyone keeping you from participating in different levels. Everyone is free to participate. Everyone is free to do whatever they would like to do.
I love it. All right. Well, if you guys have questions on this or you want more information or you want Jerred to come back on the podcast and talk about the next big thing, I always love talking to him. He always educates me and gives me great tips. So if there's something you want him to come back on, just reach out to us. You can hit us up on YouTube. You can contact us on our email at contact@nextmadison.com. Jerred, I know you're kind of in the business world, so I don't know if you really want to share any of your contact info, but if you do, Go for it.
Everyone, it's easy to find online. If you type in my name, I come right up. But I own a business out of Austin, Texas. It's called Commercial Lease Locators. We do commercial real estate. But yes, I'm always available. If you have questions or you want to chat or you have different ideas, always open to it. Just be respectful of my time. That's all I ask.
Okay, I love it. I love it. It's been amazing. So yeah, I would encourage everybody first to please share this podcast. It would mean so much to me. If you haven't rated or reviewed the podcast, please do that. That would also mean so much to me. And third, go sign up for a Decentraland account. I want my listeners that are loyal to this show to benefit. So let's be early adopters and let's get ahead of this game and let's make some money. All right, Jerred, thank you so much for being my guest today. And for everybody listening, wherever you are, I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time to find out who's next. Bye.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.